Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, a whole food, plant-based culinary coach, and a master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, an exercise specialist and a wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So, today we're talking about lifestyle habits that shape how we age. We can see two different people who are exactly the same age, and one can look 10, 20 years older, and one can look 10, 20 years younger than they actually are. And so, what can we do to protect our body, our cells, our mitochondria, so that we age well and can be active and do all the things we want to do way up into our upper years. Some of you know my grandmother. She lived to 103 and a half. She just died a couple of months ago, which was really sad, but she was still up and walking and playing games and things all the way up to the end. And I want to be that way as well. So aging is inevitable. But how we age is influenced by our choices and things that we do every day. Today, we're going to pull together some of the most compelling research. We've both been diving into different forms of research, and we want to tell you about what we have gathered from the blue zones, from what scientists call the five simple habits, and why something as basic as grip strength can predict how well your body is aging. So, Dan, I really want us to talk through this as a conversation. What we've seen personally, what we've seen in our clients, and how these simple lifestyle choices make an enormous difference over time. I know for me, this past week, I did a lot of traveling, and I was with two separate individuals, both one day apart, and it was just amazing the difference in the way these two people moved, um, everything. Like I would never in a million years thought that they were the same age. So where do you think we should begin?
Well, first of all, in our country, if you get old, it gets really expensive.
Whoa.
As far as I'm going to tell you, if you have to get any kind of care for, assisted living, nursing homes, a lot of people lose their life savings. So
Right.
that alone should be a motivator
Right.
about what we can do. And I think in America, especially America, a lot of people think as we get older, it is inevitable that we're going to get sick. And that to me is a sad way to look at things
Right.
because if you believe that, you probably won't even try to stay healthy.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I used to be, I still love to lift weights, but back in the day when I was younger, the bodybuilders that I looked at and I was kind of motivating me were the ones before steroids. It was the guys, like Jack LaLanne. It was a holistic lifestyle, and those guys lived to be old and very healthy.
Right.
And they lived a lot of the way they lived is a lot of things that we teach now, you and me, as far as health coaching.
That is true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yes. And so there's so many reasons why we teach what we do. And, I'll hear people say, well, you know, they think my parents died when they were 65, so I'm going to die when I'm 65. What does it matter? Or I'm going to die anyway, or I want to just die happy. And they think eating this crappy food is going to please them and make them happy, where it's not. It's going to age you, it's going to create disease, and you're not going to die right away. Well, unless you have a sudden heart attack, which is a possibility. But most likely, you're going to end up unable to walk, maybe unable to see, maybe unable to hear, and still living. Maybe you've lost your memory, right? And so I don't like using fear-based tactics. But when we look at like genetics, so I mean, my parents are still living. My grandparents lived a long life. And so luckily it's in my genes, but it doesn't mean I'm going to live a really long life either. I have to still do some things. Our bodies aren't just genetics. Only 10 to 20% of aging is connected to genetics. I would think that's still a high percentage too. A lot of it is driven by epigenetics, our behaviors, our environment, our food, our stress. And we have to really pay attention to what we're doing in our life to take care of ourselves and our body. So, what changes do you see in clients who stop thinking about genetics and what their parents and family members did and start taking ownership of how they age?
Well, two people come to mind right now that we're currently working with. One lady, she is 79, okay, and I think I've worked with her for maybe 3 weeks so far,
Hmm.
but she had a massive heart attack 3 years ago. She was a caretaker for her husband. He had dementia. She took care of him for about 4 years, and the doctor says she had a heart attack because of all the stress from taking care of her husband. But now that we're working together, I mean, she's already feeling more positive. She's already starting to feel better, and she's almost 80, and she had a heart attack. But then my other client that I've had for over a year, her name is Elizabeth. She, when she first came to me, she was only 56, but she said, "Do you think I'm too old to build muscle and get stronger and get healthy?" I was like, "No, no, no."
You can't age out
So,
of it.
huh?
You cannot age out of it.
No, I mean, 56 isn't old, but
No.
she thought it's just this mindset she had. Long story short, with her, she was having a lot of pain. She had some stenosis in the spine, some degeneration in her knees, some of her vertebrae, all these things. But now she is 95% pain-free, she told me. She can sleep through the night. And what we did is I like to put these things together. We put together some strength training. I try to get her to eat better. She is eating better. There's some herbs that we're using. I always talk about synergy because you can't just do one thing. And
Hmm.
we'll get to that later in our podcast about the grip strength thing,
Hmm.
because there's a secret to that too. But so we put together strength training, better eating, herbs, and now she can sleep. Before she met me, she could only sleep 1 hour at a time. Now she can sleep 6 to 7 hours, which is
That's
makes a big
huge.
difference. So
Yeah.
I think she's reversed a lot of her aging problems I mean, obviously, because now she's more active. She actually could go on trips now. She could not travel before. Now she's going to see some friends she hasn't seen in a long time. So, and this is just one of many clients that have gotten better, you know.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. One of the one person that I follow, Dan Buettner, he wrote the Blue Zones and has really been studying the longest living people currently alive around the world. And he's found these blue zones, and it's called blue zones because they used like a blue marker to circle where these people live. So the blue has nothing to do with it, except it is funny. Most of them are along the coast. Anyway, it's the longest living people. And he started putting together what is common among these people. And one of the things is natural movement throughout the day. So we say this all the time. Our bodies were created to move. We have this lymphatic system in our body that pumps things out. We hear about cancers, and if cancer spread the lymph nodes, then we know, oh, that's really dangerous. The only way we move the lymph through those lymph nodes is through moving and contracting muscles. And so we have to get up, we have to move throughout the day. So moving, walking, gardening, lifting, squatting. In Japan, people in their 90s and even hundreds, they're squatting to work in their garden and squatting like butt to heels squatting. I can't even do that, right? And I'm only in my 50s. And so, really moving our body think about that. If we were constantly moving our body like that, keeping the knees lubricated by squatting and walking, then maybe we could protect our knees and not have to have all these knee replacements and hip replacements and things like that. But moving is huge. Having a sense of purpose um, is also wonderful, for emotional health and longevity as well. And I don't know how to say what they call it, ikigai, I think, anyway, is having a sense of purpose. And then daily mindfulness, walking in nature, daily prayer, breath work, and then being a part of the community, which also has a sense of purpose. When you belong, a sense of belonging, which is something that we've kind of lost, especially with computers and social media. And really, Dan and I were talking before we even got on this call about how the entire world has really changed, past 10 years. If you just reflect back at the past 10 years, our entire world has changed. And I really think that it had a lot to do with the epidemic. We completely lost community. It kind of destroyed our community. And so it's interesting to see how that has changed our whole world. But that's something else that's really important for longevity. But I'm rambling on. So, Dan, tell us something about the foods of people from the blue zones.
Well, the people in the blue zones, they're mostly plant-based eaters, and I say mostly. I think that some of them do have a little bit of fish from time to time, but it's not every day. It's not like
Right?
they live mostly on beans, greens, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, herbs, the things that me and Jennifer are always talking about.
Yeah. Tubers, roots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Japanese, they live on was it sweet potato, Okinawa? One of their main
Yes.
foods is the purple sweet potato, I
I could
think.
live off those.
Oh yeah, especially this time of year.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
And they use meat like a condiment.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's only for a lot of times it's for special occasions.
Mhm.
And the Chinese used to eat like that. I think the rural Chinese still do, like that you just said, they use meat just for flavor, not they're not eating a 16-ounce porterhouse every day like Americans.
Yeah, or planning the meal around the meat, which is what we always did. We'd have
Yeah,
hamburgers and hot dogs with, or a pot roast with, right? And so,
yeah,
yeah, it's a complete mind shift change, which was
yeah.
hard for me too when I made the change too, but it really is so health protective.
And for me, I think the closest thing, as far as some of the American doctors, is I think the nutritarian diet. I know you like that one. I think
Yeah, I
that's
love it.
probably the best one.
Yes.
If you really
Yes.
want to learn how to eat this way, I recommend getting some of Dr. Fuhrman's books.
Yes.
And it's basically like a green zone diet, basically, is what he teaches.
Right. And that's the next book we're going to use in my book club and my membership is going to be one of Dr. Furman's books, just because I love what he teaches and I really believe in it too. Another principle that they use in the blue zones, and especially in Japan, is something called Hari Hachibu. I can never remember what it's called. Hari Hachibu, which means eat until you're 80% full, which is something that I do not do. I'm one of those people that loves to feel full, and so I eat until I'm completely full. But in my book club right now, we're reading Donna Gates' book, The Body Ecology Diet, and I promise this won't be a tangent. She also says eat until you're 80% full for our longevity and protecting our body. And it dawned on me, if it takes 20 minutes for us to receive that signal that we're full, if we eat until we're full, then we've eaten too much. Because if it takes that, 20 minutes, so that's why, we should eat. And before you get seconds, put your fork down and wait 20 minutes because maybe you're already full and you don't need more food. And so I love that. I'm working on that. Harihachi. I'm just one of those people that likes to eat. I love to eat and I like to feel really full. So that's something that I'm working on. That is also helpful for longevity. Yeah, and then food is really part of a community too in the blue zones. So eating, not just large families, but with others in the community and having a sense of belonging is really important as well. What is the most practical for you that you think people could start, right away as far as one of the blue zone principles?
What I would do, and this is how I educate a lot of my clients, is to start eating more produce.
Yeah.
And in this way,
Yeah.
They get more full on produce, so they eat less meat and less junk. I mean, because I've been teaching people for years, and it's not an easy transition for people to start eating healthy. So I've found now that just eat more fruit and eat more vegetables.
Yeah, add in a little more, and that helps you
Yeah.
crowd out the other stuff that doesn't belong. Just
Hmm.
focus on crowding it out, adding more. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you tell somebody you got to give up everything you love,
Yeah.
it runs, I mean, most of this they run for the hills. So now I'm a
Right.
lot more lenient, and you will get healthier if you just start eating more fruits and vegetables.
Right. Well, and if you start removing things, then you start feeling deprived and it'll backfire.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's look. So Dan sent me a couple of articles before we started talking. And so the first one I'll talk about is the five simple habits that slow aging. And so researchers consistently point to these five habits, which are a nutrient dense, whole food, plant based diet, which we've already talked about, regular movement and strength training, healthy body weight and metabolic flexibility. And so maintaining a healthy weight. So if you've gained, I can't remember, I read a study a long time ago, and you may be familiar with it too, but we should still weigh close to what we weighed when we graduated from high school, which I definitely do not. Um, so I'm probably 20 pounds heavier than I was when I graduated from high school. That being said, I was very underweight when I graduated from high school as well, but also being able to have that metabolic flexibility where we can eat different foods. We don't have to watch like macros and count calories and things like that. We can maintain a healthy weight just by the things we're naturally doing, eating healthy, not smoking, and no to very minimal alcohol. So those were the five: nutrient dense, whole food, plant based, regular movement and strength training, healthy body weight with metabolic flexibility, not smoking, and minimal to no alcohol. So, what are some other things that are not in those five that we should also focus on?
I think sleep and stress
Yeah.
has to be in there because
Yes.
stress is so, it's just so damaging. If you're, I mean, and look, I'm speaking from myself. I mean, I still am trying to regulate my nervous system, and it's the hardest thing that I have.
Me too.
And
Me too.
but sleep, falls right, it's hand in hand. If you cannot sleep enough, you're going to be more stressed out. Your cortisol will be higher.
Right.
So you have to find ways to get better sleep because that helps you get out of the stress cycle. But a lot of times the stress cycle makes it where you can't sleep. So it's a
Yeah.
balancing act.
Definitely a vicious cycle. I totally agree with that. Like, if I have a lot of stuff up in my head, I don't have clear boundaries, I'm not going to sleep well. And so, definitely. Yeah. So, I would say for me, I was thinking of sleep, stress and emotional regulation, and strong social ties. And so for me, sleep is good as long as I don't let my mind get away. But stress reduction and emotional regulation is my weakest link. And also strong social ties. I have a small group of really close people, but I would not say that I'm a part of a community. I don't eat meals with the community and stuff like that. So that's something that I should probably work on.
You and me both. The social ties isn't a strong point for me.
Yeah.
And then, and you've heard people talk about it, a lot of scientists now, a lot of doctors,
Mhm.
gut health.
Yes, more fiber, more fiber. Quit counting protein grams and start counting fiber grams. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, and more diversity through plants. So, like you said, add more fruit, add more vegetables. There's studies that show, and you may have been ready to talk, and I'm just running with it. There's studies that show that we need at least 30 different plants a week, 30 different plants a week. And so
Wow.
when you make your grocery list, how many different plants do you have that? Well, what are plants? Nuts and seeds and beans. Those are also plants. So not just the produce. But it's interesting. I taught a lecture last weekend and we talked a lot about this. And then I made my grocery list when I came back. I flew back home Tuesday. My grocery list, every single thing on the grocery list was in the produce section except for two things of dried beans and sunflower seeds. And so that's what our grocery list should look like. It should be
Yep.
all plants, right? And so it was definitely 30 or more. And so if all you're buying is a head of lettuce, some apples, bananas, and oranges, maybe tomato and cucumber, I mean, that's only five. And so let's expand different kinds of lettuces. So you can still have that salad, but use different kinds of lettuces. Use some arugula, use some kale, buy a salad mix, buy a slaw mix, anything like that so that you can get more of those, more diversity to help with increasing the microbiome. Because just like if you've ever planted a garden, and I know not everybody has, but even if you've had one indoors, you plant this garden and it starts growing, and then these bugs appear. And it's like, wait, we didn't have these bugs before. The same thing happens in our intestines, in our colon. These different foods come in there, and then that attracts those quote unquote bugs that are beneficial, that are helpful. And so we want to make sure we're having the right ones, because if we're eating lots of sugar and eating things that stay stagnant in the belly, then we're attracting the pathogens, and we don't want that. And so we want to make sure we're attracting the right bugs.
And it's amazing, we're talking about stress in the same topic here.
Yeah.
If you're stressed out a lot, it will, it actually affects your gut health. And I'm a living example. I
Yeah.
still have digestive problems
Hmm.
because I'm still not out of the fight or flight. I mean, I'm a lot better,
Hmm.
but if you're stressed out all the time, it really messes up your gut health. So
Yes. Yeah. We have very familiar childhood trauma stories, and it's learning to let those things go and processing those.
and I'm always talking about deep breathing because if it helps me, and I was a basket case a few years ago, it helps me to have at least 10 minutes a day of just, I like to get in my recliner and relax and just deep breathe. And also do muscle relaxation along with my deep breathing, and that helps a lot.
Love that.
But, and it's funny, but we're going to go back to the social ties again. I still am lucky enough to have my mother, she's still alive. And
Mm,
so if I'm having a really bad week
yeah.
and you're overwhelmed, if you have somebody, just one person you can really talk to that really cares,
Yes.
that helps a lot.
Yes. Yes. And I mentioned the pandemic, but that's when I lost my community ties. It's like I lost a couple of different communities, completely changed when the pandemic hit, and we just never recreated those communities. And so for me, I need to learn how to recreate those communities or build new communities.
I totally agree, and I think that's one of the worst things that ever happened to society was when they shut everything down, and
Yeah.
it did destroy a lot of social groups, and most of them have not rebuilt. My wife is a ballroom dance teacher,
Mhm.
and a lot of the big popular, we used to have dances,
Yeah.
and now they went out of business, and they never,
That's how I was. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I had an in-person business that shut down and never started back up.
it's like
Yeah.
somebody dropped a bomb on everything, and it never rebuilt.
Right. So if someone is overwhelmed just thinking about these habits, what's one simple habit that could give a really big return as far as aging and longevity?
One simple habit. I would say, if I can only go with one thing, start to work on your stress.
I was thinking the same thing, deep
I
breathing.
don't care if you have to get help. I don't care if you have to get I've had a therapist and it was good.
Mhm.
But I think you should do whatever, except for take mind-altering drugs, but I think you should do whatever it takes to get control of your stress.
I think so too. Focusing on gratitude and deep breathing, for
Mhm.
me. Yeah. Doing those pauses throughout the day. Those are really simple. It's hard to work them in, but those can be really helpful,
It's that important, unfortunately,
right? And we don't value that like we should.
especially in our country.
Yeah.
In America, it's like if you're not if you're not killing yourself every day, you're a loser,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, the person who can get check the most things off their to-do list wins.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
What does
that's
that do to your nervous system?
right. Right. I know I wake up and look at my list and I'm like, "Ah," and that's it. That's not how we should start our day. Right?
And then
Yes.
you
So
start with coffee, right?
yes. Yeah, which increases anxiety and raises your heart rate and all those things. Yes. So let's turn to something that you are an expert at, definitely not me. But another study you sent to me was about grip strength. And so tell us why grip strength predicts longevity.
Okay, so here this is a good topic. Because I think a lot of people think, well, okay, they're showing that grip strength will make me live healthier, live longer. So I'm gonna go to Walmart and get some of those little grippers. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start
that's what I was
making my
thinking.
hands really strong.
I was
But
actually doing this. Okay, that's what I need to do.
yeah, but that's not what they're talking about. That won't really do you a lot of good. Actually, that can actually help lower your blood pressure. That's another topic.
Mhm.
But what they're finding is the people that have the strongest grips tend to have a lot less disease in their body. But the grip strength is an indicator of how strong you are overall. So a better way to go about it is you start going and get a coach. If you never worked out, please get a coach. Get on a strength training routine, a balanced strength training routine, balanced, where you're working all your muscle groups so you don't get imbalances. It is actually the strength of your overall body. So it's your total quality of muscle mass. That's what counts. And you're usually stronger in the hands after if you get your bench press or your squat or your deadlift up, everything else gets stronger. Your hands are going to get stronger. Your back's going to get stronger. So it's good. You have to do an overall strengthening routine. That's what gives you the benefits. And we're talking about better insulin sensitivity, better blood pressure, better heart health. It actually strengthens your nervous system. That's what we were talking about.
Mhm.
It helps your mobility. It prevents falls, helps you prevent falls as we get older. I mean, falls are deadly for people over 65,
Right.
especially if they don't train. If you break a hip,
Mhm.
it's usually within a year you'll be dead.
Right. Right.
And it also is really good for your brain health. They're showing now that strength training decreases the risk of developing dementia by a lot. I can't remember the how much, but it's a lot.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
So what are some ways you can improve your grip strength?
Well, there's things in the gym you can do. Yeah, farmers carries. That's where you get dumbbells and you walk for maybe 30 yards holding them.
Hmm.
That's going to strengthen your grip.
These.
But
Okay.
basically, the best way to go about it is to get your whole body stronger. We're talking from head to toe.
Hmm.
Get your upper body stronger. You can do things like push-ups, bench press, dumbbell bench press.
Hmm.
Then we're going to do things for our back, like some kind of a rowing machine or dumbbell rows. Then we want to work on our legs, so some kind of a squat or a leg press. And then it's good to do some kind of a deadlift. You don't have to go crazy with the weight, but teach yourself how to lift things off the floor. And again, if you've never done this, please get a coach because you can't hurt yourself but
Hmm.
if somebody shows you how to do it, you
Right.
can I mean lifting is very safe once you understand how to do it.
Right.
You just want to get everything strong, everything in your body, everything. That's what I teach.
Right.
Every little muscle. I leave nothing untouched. We're going to even work the little stabilizers.
Well,
That's how your hands are going to get strong. Strengthen everything.
so I don't picture these people in the blue zones actually going to the gym and working out. And so
Yes, but they
how would
work hard.
right. So what are they doing to for grip strength?
I picture a lot of these people doing farmers carries, but in real life, I think a lot of them work on farms.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Squatting, digging, using hand tools, carrying things, carrying stuff out into the garden, carrying things to their community, even just carrying groceries. Like I remember living in an apartment on the third floor, And you would try to carry all of your groceries in at one time because it was so
Yeah.
many flights up the stairs. And so
Yes.
loading up your arms, carrying them up. And I've even had clients before, just work on things like putting cans or water bottles up in the cabinet, just putting them up and reaching across the body, and putting them up on a shelf, things like that.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's actually I've seen studies to where working like that manual labor
Yeah,
is so good for you. It may be even better for you than going to the gym because it's more of a natural. But yeah, if you don't get that in your daily life, you need to do something else. But yeah, if you can start a garden and do things to where you're working outside and carrying, pushing wheelbarrows, that's just as good for you.
right. But doing it every day.
Yes.
Yeah, doing something every day. Move your body, lifting, carrying, even lifting over your head because we haven't talked a lot about bones other than the hips, but our bones, we have to use weights to help with
Yes.
bone strength to protect those bones as well. But we're getting close to time, so this has been a fabulous conversation. We'll have to expand on it in another episode. To bring it all together, healthy aging isn't taking supplements and superfoods. It's not following an aging protocol or a longevity protocol. It's using these small habits, these different things, using functional fitness, like Dan said, or working in the gym, doing strength training. I have a home gym and a rowing machine, and I like doing all of those things too. But how do you measure your grip strength before we close?
Um, and of course I can't think of the name. There's this little machine. I have one, it's a cheap one. You just squeeze it and it has like a little dial, kind of like a it's like a little dial, and you can get some are digital, and it tells you how strong your grip is. It usually is either measures in pounds or kilograms,
Okay.
how much force you can exert.
Hmm.
And I don't know the norms. I don't know, not off the top of my head, but
Probably AI could tell us.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, using these little small habits, increasing fruits and vegetables, then that diversity, making sure you're getting good quality sleep, and then working on strength and fitness and sleep and community and stress. Those are so important. We will expand on these in another episode because we want all of us to be strong and maintain our youthfulness and be active for many, many, many years. You can find out more about Dan at danthenaturalman.com or about me at holisticgen.com. And I have a membership, culinaryhealingcircle.com. You can also check out. Thank you for joining us on Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and that it gave you some practical, encouraging steps to support your body as we age. It's inevitable. And I hope it was helpful. If you have subscribed, share it with your friends and check out our other episodes, and we will join you again next week. Much love to you all.